I am very pleased to present Jacob Cohen, who has successfully completed all the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Medieval Studies and History. Jake came to us from Providence College in Providence, Rhode Island, where he acquired a broad humanities degree, including considerable reading in the world of antiquity. He came away then interested in notions of social and political order. Indeed, in the very first interview with me, which I can still remember quite clearly, he declared himself resolved to study, in effect, the next period in that story, the world of the early Middle Ages, those 4 or 5 centuries following late antiquity, which were to prove formative in beginning to shape distinctive European polities. He fixed now particularly his choice on the notion of tyranny, the ancients' term for evil rule. Yet in most extant historical and theoretical accounts, it more or less disappears until John of Salisbury famously took it up again in the 12th century. So Jake plunged in with 2 large tasks, finding every conceivable use of that term in documents surviving from those centuries, greatly aided now and ingeniously by the search engines of the Monumenta Germaniae Historica, and then ordering what he had found into coherent patterns of meaning and narrative where none, in effect, as yet existed. This is no easy task. It would require more than one rethinking and rewriting, a process which he bore with patience and hardiness, even when he studied his advisor's latest scratching on his chapters, or looked into his face and saw that a given chapter still wasn't there. But the result, happily, is truly original work, with a richness that cannot be summarized in 3 minutes or so, even though that is what we tell our students to do all the time in preparation for job interviews. This question of tyranny and its meanings and usages touches on diverse matters that all, in fact, tie into themes currently much at work in early medieval historical research. How we evaluate, for instance, the influence of late antique writers, thus Augustine, Gregory the Great, and Isidore of Seville, whose texts, though important, had here far less influence initially than many had assumed or claimed. Then comes the way bishops emerge as focal points of both religious and secular leadership, and hagiographical accounts of bishops, which seize upon tyranny now as an avenue for taking on their real-world rivals. A few decades later, the emerging Carolingian family and its clerical historians now began to label those resistant to this emerging dynasty as tyrants. A coordinated propaganda campaign, as Jake sees it. But there is also subsequently the matter of that period sometimes called a crisis, when members of this dynasty direct this term now directly at some of their own. What we find, in short, is not only a term transfiguring century by century amidst changing circumstances, but 2, a kind of narrative, both tying into and providing a new angle on the Carolingian story, which of course has become so central to our sense of early medieval history. This is fresh work, smart work, an alternative narrative, and it will surely become in time an important book-length contribution to our understanding of early medieval history. And let me add in a sentence too, though I could say much more, that Jake's energy levels for this work and for conferences and for teaching and for discussion are truly amazing. This work then fully satisfies, and more, the age-old requirement of crafting a masterpiece, as the ancient medieval guildsmen put it, which would qualify them for entry into the guild of academic historians, or as we also put it, this likewise medieval in origin, now a doctor of philosophy.